Hello everyone, Omnify here, and I just wanted to come on here and say congratulations to the 2026 NBA champions, the New York Knicks. I know a lot of my videos are about Harry Potter, movies, TV shows. I even have two videos actually about the WWE. The first one is about how I believe The Rock he should make a return and have a match against Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. And then the other one is about Randy Orton, who has been in wrestling ever since 2002 as a main event, as a superstar. He's a future Hall of Famer. And I believe the WWE is holding him back, screwing him over. He should win another world title. It's been a few years now, a good amount of years now, where he has been stuck at 14 world titles. He needs number 15, but they kind of are holding him back on that. And he's still in good shape and he can put on a good match. But, anyways, I'm also a big fan of the NBA. I have been an NBA fan ever since 2009. It's the year LA Lakers and the Orlando Magic had played against each other in the finals, and Kobe Bryant had won his fourth NBA championship and his finals MVP. Because in the first three he won, the finals MVP, it was Shaquille O'Neal. And even though I only started to watch the NBA ever since 2009, I consider myself a historian of the game. And my knowledge of the game and the history goes all the way to the 60s the in the Bill Russell as he was on the Celtics and the Will Chamberlain era. Okay, I know the players who played back then and the superstars, and then in the 70s, 80s you had the Showtime, the Lakers, Kareem and Magic up against Bird and the Celtics, Isaiah Thomas and the Pistons. They also were in the mix. And then in the 90s, it was the Bulls and Jordan had dominated. And then in the 2000s and so on. I know a lot of history of the NBA. And it's the first time in 53 years the New York Knicks have been able to win the NBA championship. They had won in 1971, and then 2 years after that in 73. But ever since then, they have not been able to win. The last time they had made the finals was in 99. And they actually had played against the Spurs, and they lost to a young Tim Duncan and a prime David Robinson. Tim Duncan and David Robinson, they were called the Twin Towers, and they were able to win in 5 games. And then the Spurs had gone on to make a dynasty as they acquired Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili, and then eventually Kawhi Leonard. But now, the Knicks, after 27 years, they have made the finals again. They play against the San Antonio Spurs again, who have a new young player who's very tall. He is from France. He is called the Alien because he is 7 feet at 4 inches. Is so tall, but we have never seen a player who is that tall who's able to score, handle the ball, and move like him. And then his dominance on defense. He's 22 years old, but it is safe to say he is going to go down, if he stays healthy, of course, but he is going to go down as the greatest defensive player of all time, hands down. And he's only 22. And it was his third year in the league, his first time in the playoffs, and he had brought the San Antonio Spurs all the way to the finals in his first year in the league. They even had defeated the reigning champions, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander and the Oklahoma City Thunder, even though the Oklahoma City Thunder, they weren't 100% healthy. Jalen Williams, hamstring issues. But credit to the San Antonio Spurs and Wembanyama. He's the superstar, and he had brought his team all the way to the finals, but it just wasn't their year. Even though I feel like they easily could have won the series, a lot of these games were very close, and but they would just have these leads, and then it was the pressure, inexperience. I don't know what, because Spurs are a young team overall, and they would just lose these games. Like Game 5 was a historic 29-point comeback. The Spurs had a 29-point lead at one point towards the end of the first half. And then in the second half, they end up losing it all. And then OG Anunoby, a role player on the Knicks, OG Anunoby, but he's a good role player. At the end of the game, he had got a block on De'Aaron Fox, and then he hit the game winner. The game winner. It's just insane, historic comeback, and the Spurs had control like in every game. In every game, they could have won. However, it was egregious blunder after egregious blunder. So I'm sure the Spurs are it's because they are a young team. They are gonna be in the finals again at some point. It could be the next year or in 2 years, but I think Victor Wembanyama, he will win his championship in his career, and hopefully it is multiple championships. But I want to focus on the New York Knicks now. Jalen Brunson, the Finals MVP, proved all the doubters wrong. His height, he's only 6'1". He's only 6'1", like Allen Iverson height. And people always say like you're not able to win a championship if you are that small, if your height is like that. But he proved the doubters, he proved them wrong, and that too. Who's his opponent? As I was saying, Victor Wembanyama, who's super tall, right? The alien. But Jalen Brunson is 6'1". He had got the job done. He's a player who's a winning player, impact on winning, has no ego. In fact, he took a pay cut to get to allow the ownership of the Knicks, to allow the management of the Knicks to acquire these other good players. As I said, OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart, and Jalen Brunson had won championships in college, Villanova, and he played with Mikal Bridges on two of those teams, and Josh Hart, he was on the first championship in their college days. So he was able to have his old teammates on the Knicks, and they all had made had played as a unit. Cohesiveness was good, and the unity, it was good, and it was their time. It was their time after 53 years, and I think having the Finals MVP and bringing a championship to New York puts Jalen Brunson, in terms of greatness, above Carmelo Anthony. I'll say that. And it puts him right now, currently, maybe above Luka Doncic. I don't know, because Luka Doncic and Jalen Brunson, they both were drafted in 2018 to the Mavericks, right? And Doncic, he has always been predicted and expected to be a future MVP, a multiple-time champion. He's he's the next thing. And Brunson, he was like the sidekick, like he was just a guy on the Mavericks, in fact, right? And then in 2022 in the playoffs against the, I forgot who they played against, but he kind of had showed himself, had proved himself, right? And then in the summer of 2022, the Mavericks had let him go because they didn't see a lot of upside in him, and he was on the Knicks then, on the New York on the Knicks, and no one had all these expectations. But then they slowly had built a good team. They acquired All Star Carl Anthony Towns, uh, uh, you know, um, with the Carl Anthony Towns and the other pieces who I mentioned earlier, like OG Anunoby, Josh Hart, Mikal Bridges. They slowly had built a good team. Okay, and they built a good team, and they had got the job done. They had got the job done, and other cool thing is Jalen Brunson. His father, I believe, is the assistant coach of the team. His name is Rick Brunson, and he was on the team in '99 as they had lost to the San Antonio Spurs the last time they made the finals. So it's like a father and son on the same team, a star player, assistant coach. It's pretty cool. But the one thing I'll say, ever since 2019, and it was the Toronto Raptors, Kawhi Leonard and the Raptors had won the championship that year. But ever since 2019, there has been a different NBA champion every single year. So, an 8-year stretch now, okay, 2019 to 2026. There has never been a stretch in NBA history as long as this where a new champion is crowned every year. There never has been a stretch like this. Which leads me to say it'll be a tall task to see if the Knicks are able to repeat as NBA champions, and let alone be able to make the finals again. I mean, obviously they have a shot to make the finals again, right? But I'm just saying, 8 years now, we see a champion, and then what happens the next year? They are not in the finals. So it's an interesting time in the NBA, but man, and the Knicks are so popular as a franchise in that in this finals, and Wembanyama too. He's popular in himself. In itself. Because he's up and coming, and we never have seen a player quiet. We've never seen a player who is like him. But the Knicks are such a popular franchise that the 2026 NBA Finals, it was the most watched NBA Finals ever since the year Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls had won their last NBA championships in 1998. The sixth championship of Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls. Now, 28 years later, 2026 NBA Finals is the most watched, even over the 2016 NBA Finals. LeBron James against Steph Curry, Cleveland Cavaliers and Golden State Warriors, the 3-1 comeback. But yeah, so it was a great finals. I've never seen a finals in where a team had all these leads and kept on losing and losing in the fourth quarters. I've never seen that, but credit to the Knicks, and we'll see what happens in the next year in this league, I guess. So, anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.